Okay, welcome to CARDESIGN Academy's intermediate sketch and rendering techniques using digital media. So I'm doing a live, sort of a live stream or real-time demo this time because I wanted to show you an interesting feature in Sketchbook Pro, which I really like when I'm doing front-end sketches. So and just to talk about the face of the vehicle and how important that is as a part of the design of a vehicle. And so Sketchbook Pro has a Symmetry tool, which is located right at the center of the top menu here. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to click on that, and you can see there's a line that runs down the center of the screen. Now there's a little point at the center of that line, and I can use that point to adjust the location of that line anywhere on the screen. What that line represents is a symmetry line, and so I'm just going to go ahead and set up a symmetry right here at the center, and then go ahead and start sketching maybe some kind of a sports car. So as you can see, as I'm sketching, everything I do on the one side is mirrored onto the other. So it's a really nice tool to very quickly, and I can still zoom in on the sketch and everything, but very quickly I can start to explore a symmetrical graphic such as a vehicle front end. So, okay, as you can see, I've lowered the brow line quite a bit from where it's been in some of my previous demos. Also going to show like kind of a rear haunch kind of sticking up the back. This is sort of a tipped front view. So I'm kind of looking down on the vehicle at an eye level, and as I'm sketching, I'm actually going back and forth one side to the other, and I can do that freely because as it's symmetrical, it doesn't matter which side of the sketch I'm sketching on. If you remember, the whole concept of my Italian sports car was to have these very big, confident, round headlights. Not the typical angry cat eye lamps that most of today's cars have. But as you can see, I get a very clear picture very quickly as to how the symmetry is going to deliver that focal image on the front. I'm starting to think that maybe these lamps are a little too wide, so I'm just going to tailor them down just a little bit. I still want the lamps to be the dominant element on the front end. So, and there's going to be these little eyelashes that come up along the parting line of the hood. So as I'm sketching this, let's talk a little bit about the face of the vehicle. I'm a believer that a vehicle face is essentially it's an expression of the owner's or driver's personal self-image. So whatever emotion they're trying to express, is often characterized in the expression of their vehicle. It's very common. So somebody who, in many ways, people are actually compensating for. They're compensating for emotions that maybe they're afraid to express in themselves, but are more confident to express behind the wheel of a vehicle. Think about how you behave to other people in person versus when you're behind the wheel of a vehicle, and how much more assertive and in some cases aggressive you can be. Now I'm not accusing anybody of being an aggressive driver, but I've seen it many times where people who could normally be very, very demure and timid could all of a sudden become this very aggressive, sort of angry person behind the wheel. Now, not everybody's aggressive and angry. I know the opposite. I know some very charismatic people who are very slow behind the wheel. So you can see very quickly. Now, if I want to go ahead and do some variations on this, I can just move the symmetry line somewhere else on the page. Maybe I can try a different face. something, maybe something more in the classic Italian sense with a more traditional grille, more Maserati-esque maybe. I really love this symmetry tool. It really helps it brings clarity to the face very quickly. It's nice to be able to zoom in and out as well, so you don't have to worry about where that symmetry line is relative to the position on the screen. You just have to think about where it is on the page. Maybe this one has a little more of an assertive, squinted expression. Again, put my tires on there to give it some stance. You can see that gives me a much different expression. It's just maybe a more sinister expression relative to the more open, confident, and friendly look of the first car. Maybe I'll try one that's a little bit more, let's say, Germanic. So maybe less Italian, more Germanic. Or let's instead of saying Italian versus German, perhaps we'll say luxury, more luxury versus sporty. So how might we express that? So maybe the person driving the car in the middle is a more confident, optimistic, approachable person. On the right side, that vehicle is somebody who is a little more aggressive, assertive. Maybe for someone who is looking for more of a luxury statement, that expression might be something a little more, again, confident, but maybe more relaxed. So maybe the grille is up a bit higher. So again, this might be the same class of vehicle, like a 2+2 sports coupe, or maybe a 2-seater sports coupe, but the grille is lifted up higher above the brow line. And maybe the lights exist along the edges of that grille, so the grille actually kind of peaks up and above the lamps. And then these sort of wing elements that come up from underneath the corners and support the grille kind of again sort of lift that grille up above the ground. And many of the German cars, going back to being Germanic, many of the German cars do continue to subscribe to that notion of status and luxury, where the grille sort of leads the car, and it's set sort of high up on the front end. And I'm kind of giving the impression that this grille has a bit of a dished out section to it. By shading the upper half of it, it kind of feels like it's got a concave section. Maybe put a little bit of extra detail on the hood to give it more of a sense of power. So again, if you look at those three faces, one feels very, very sort of relaxed and confident with the grille up high. It has sort of a status to it. The one in the middle is very sporty but very confident and optimistic, perhaps a bit more feminine. And then the one on the right is a bit more aggressive, maybe a little more masculine. Maybe how we do the grille details as well. Maybe this has some kind of a mesh pattern to it. Just gives it a bit more status. What about something super aggressive like a Lamborghini? That's sort of a predatory, going beyond aggressive and into something maybe predatory. So, maybe we start to get into more sharp angles. And I'm just sort of making this up as I go. This one might have some kind of a wing element. And a very unconventional graphic. Maybe the headlamp graphic comes all the way up over the hood and aligns with the cowl. This has almost an alien quality to it as well. I'm personally a believer that cars should have a human quality to them, some sort of a human quality, because they do represent the emotions and the psyche of the people who drive them. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and do one more. And I'm just going to explore another proportion of a front end. And that is a sort of two-level, sort of a slim top graphic with a more dominant bottom graphic. This is something that you might find in a BMW. Where you have sort of a slim upper element with a slim horizontal graphic. I would say this is definitely more Germanic than Italian. You're going to have these really strong side pockets which help to cool the brakes. They're often used also to channel air around the wheels. So oftentimes you'll see these side pockets have actually pass air along into the wheel well and through the wheel well. What that creates is a little curtain of air that moves the air past the spinning tire. That's called an air curtain, and it has a very defined function. It actually helps reduce drag around the spinning tires. But this is a more familiar, I would say, more familiar traditional face, and that's there again is in the face of the vehicle. It also helps to define the how conservative versus how future oriented a brand is. So. So if this is a very familiar graphic layout, so I've put a few unique touches on it. You can see I'm adding some details to the insides of the lights and trying to give the lights a more human quality. So you can see that I've created this upper brow, and then I've created a little element at the center, which would be your actual functioning high and low beam, and I've positioned it to give it a kind of a human eye quality that gives the car that sort of sinister, assertive quality. Okay, so as you can see, the impression that you get on the face of a vehicle about what it says about the person, what it says about the driver, whether that person is sort of happy and confident, optimistic, if that person wants to be approachable, whether that person wants to convey status and pride, whether that person wants to be aggressive to the point of being predatory, or even alien. Either way, there needs to be a human quality to the face, in my opinion. Even vehicles that are not in this sort of organic form language like a sports car, even those have an expression, a facial expression to them. But that's what I really wanted to convey in terms of brand DNA, in terms of automotive design language, is the importance of the face.